Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
Hey. Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for squeezing me in today. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. I was looking at the time and I was like, I can do it. I got a bunch of stuff done already today, so I just gotta keep squeezing everything in for the rest of the day. I got a big list leaving early tomorrow morning for Smash World Tour.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay. All
that's
right.
why I'm not gonna be around. I have to let a bunch of people know that are looking for lessons that I'm gonna be gone though.
Okay. How long
But
are you going to be at Smash World Tour?
well, because they want me they want me there on Wednesday, and then I'm
Oh,
not coming home until Tuesday afternoon. So it's
okay.
like 6 whole days. It's gonna be a long time. So
Wow. Yeah, that is a long,
it's
long way to
actually
be.
really crazy. But there's gonna be friends around, so hopefully it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good luck at that.
so can you maybe do a quick introduction for the stream? Just like how long you've been playing, where you're from, what are your goals for the game, something
hmm
like that.
hmm Yeah, I've been playing for a couple years, and then during the quarantine slippy stuff, I really started to go a bit harder just because I had so much time.
Who do
and
you play?
I play Falco,
Okay.
and yeah, and I've been listening to your lessons for a while now. I think I've listened to all the Falco lessons,
Okay.
and then it was kind of cool to see you like start learning Falco last year. And I enjoyed your lessons when you were a Fox player, but now it's like even more enjoyable that you also play Falco. So that's
Mm-hmm.
been cool.
The fellow Falco main love.
Yeah, yeah, it's so cool just to have more people playing Falco at a high level, and I get to watch them and learn from them. Yeah, my goal right now is to get ranked in SoCal, which is really hard from my perspective, and yeah,
Where in
that's
SoCal are you from?
I'm from Long Beach. We've met before like a few times at events, but
Okay.
um, yeah, I think you've been to my house one time for like
Really?
yeah,
For
yeah,
like a
because
Smash Fest or?
I hosted Armada over at my house, and you came over to like play games with Armada.
Was it when Cody was there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wait. Now I remember. Okay,
Okay,
I don't
cool.
fully remember your face, but I remember something. So it's like
Yeah,
sometimes you
yeah,
gotta jog. My memory needs jogging. But
yeah. That's
okay,
okay.
okay,
It's all
cool.
right.
I did not connect that. There, I don't know. From just seeing the name Zach on here, I did not think of that.
Yeah, no worries. No, I'm sure you meet a lot of people in SoCal locals and stuff. So,
Okay, though, that's cool. All right, so what is going on in the lesson today? What is the
um,
issue?
so yeah, I right now I'm kind of at the place where I feel like I've reached like a ceiling, and I'm just trying to break through that. I actually recently was really intrigued by a lesson you did with a player called Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
where you sort of told him, here, you have these tools compiled, and it's good because it's beating these people at this certain level of the game. But now you have to like step up to a new level and acquire new tools because this isn't going to work against better players.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been feeling that lately where I can like kind of kind of hold my own against good players, but they
Mm-hmm.
still are just way faster than me, they're smarter than me, their punish is better than mine, they're edge guarding, and and also against players my level, I feel like I should be doing better now. But
Mm-hmm.
there was something you said to Buffalo that really stuck out to me, which was like you don't want to go um you don't want to be like going even with the player round one pools at a major. You want to be destroying them.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I feel like I still go even with everybody. Like the
Okay,
newest,
yeah, that makes
yeah, the new,
sense.
yeah. So
So like
yeah,
you're
I think
doing better against better players, but you still do about the same against the worst players.
yeah, and
Mm.
not to make it sound at all like I'm better than them. It's
No,
just
no, no.
maybe
I,
I've
I,
been,
it's
yeah,
not what it's about.
just that I've been playing a bit longer than
This
like
is
some of
all
them are.
about like your subjective feelings and
Okay,
like doesn't personally include anyone you're talking about. So don't
okay,
worry
okay,
about it.
okay, yeah, but yeah, I think uh, I would really like to, if possible, focus on I just don't really understand how to outplay somebody. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really get the whole like you're at an unreactable spacing and it's time to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that you've said in your lessons is like, but you don't want to just gamble with everybody. You know, you want to outplay them,
Exactly.
and I don't really understand how that starts to look.
Mm-hmm.
So because right now I'm definitely like let's just gamble, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it will work out if I guess right 50% of the time or 30% of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I so that's kind of where I'm coming from, but also I know that you're probably much better at diagnosing this sort of like where I'm at than me. And so I'm also open to just hearing what you think, like with a blank slate. But I kind of, if that makes sense.
Okay, okay, would you rather go over the video a little bit first, or would you rather me sort of answer what you were just saying first?
I'm down for the for answering that question. That'd be sweet.
Okay, the so I try to like take it as sort of like a gradient approach. So
Hmm.
there's like really obvious ways that you have outplayed your opponent, which is like, let's say they try to wave dash and they air dodge instead, and then you react to that and you hit them, you know. So that is an outplay, even though it's like a pretty sad outplay, you know. And it kind of gets, you know, then you go one step further and you say, okay, so somebody rolled into me and I punished them for it. That's an
Hmm.
outplay. And you go,
Hmm.
okay, but then as you get, if you kind of like leave the casual sphere of like normal, you know, non-smasher player, like people like pressing buttons and just sort of having a good time, a lot of times the outplays for people like that are just kind of like, well, they just like threw out their move and they missed it and then I hit it. And then you kind of get a little bit further in Melee and it's like, okay, well now like me being faster than someone is like enough to outplay them because they're not ready for how fast I am. And so like
Hmm.
those things do count as like outplays, and a lot of times like if I am playing somebody in pools or whatever, I won't try to outplay them on like this high pro level. I will try to outplay them on like I hit harder. My recoveries are, you know, more consistent. Like I don't make as many technical errors. Like I will outplay someone in round 1 pools just based on that. But then as you
Hmm.
get into a higher level, then it's like okay, so now you end up at like this stage, and a lot of times for like a Fox main, it's really easy to talk about this because you'll say like, okay, it's a kind of at like the level where Fox just dash dances, and then Falcos will do uh, dare in, and then the Fox dash dance grabs, you know,
Hmm.
and that's kind of like the round 1 bracket outplay type thing. So as you get into playing better players, they're going to make it harder and harder for you to get a free opening. Like they aren't going to just give you an opening for doing nothing. And so you need to start thinking, okay, the openings are the same. Like someone rolling into you or someone, you know, like whiffing an up smash or whiffing an up tilt. All of those openings that you're going to be getting on the top level players are the exact same openings for the most part that you're going to be getting on the bad players. The only difference is how you get those openings. So whereas like a bad player, they might see where you're at and just run at you an up smash and you just get out of the way and hit them, versus a good player, you might have to put in like quite a bit of effort into kind of like convincing them that their up smash is going to hit, and then they'll swing the up smash and you dodge it and you hit them. So at higher level, a lot of times the outplays are sort of like very detailed convincing. And so you were saying like you know to get into like an unreactable range. And so the issue with, or not the issue, but like basically the solution to the unreactable range is, first of all, you're trying to defend yourself from like all the options at once if your opponent is like aggressing you in an unreactable range. If you can't handle all the options at once, what you have to do is you have to like pick a counter option. You know, like you think Fox is going to instant nair at you, and so you might have to shield and then shine out a shield the early nair that Fox does, like as Falco, right? But then like, what if, you know, a Fox jumps at you and then they do a late nair on your shield, now the shine out of shield doesn't work. But because they tricked you into defending against the early aerial, now they have created a situation where they have like a larger advantage. So a lot of times with Falco, that same mix-up happens where a lot of the time when somebody shields, it's the same concept. Like if somebody gets near you and they shield, they're shielding to beat early aerial because they're afraid of the early aerial. So instead of gambling on the early aerial, you can gamble a little bit more subtly on they might shield the early aerial here, and then you get the late aerial on their shield. So the idea is that like you want to create, this is kind of like a reduction of that, is that like you want to create positions in which your opponent will have to, like, let's say they need to guess one of 3 responses. And your job is to say, like, okay, so they're going to do one of 3 things. My job is to make it so regardless of those 3 things, I don't really get punished. But if maybe they do 1 out of those 3 things, I will punish them. So 1 out of the 3, they whiff a move and you punish them. And then 2 out of 3, they do a different decision and you both are still sort of like even or stalemated, because that's like a win or draw type situation, which is what you're kind of trying to set up. So rather than like going in for the 1 out of 3 gamble, you force your opponent to do a 1 out of 3 gamble and you try to like look for openings in that. Not sure how much sense that makes, but we can go over it more while we watch the video if you have any questions on it.
That was really cool. I think there are some things I'll have to go back and listen to again, but I feel like that was amazing. That felt like I got like a primer on how to play.
Awesome.
That was cool. I'm down to start the video if you are.
Okay, great. The screen share is working, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna mute it. Okay, so let's see what happens here. How does this start? So you drop laser. You go in with the laser. Okay. This is. I need to watch a little bit more before I really talk too much about it, I think.
Okay.
Okay. This is like a really tempting situation. You just have to be super careful here. I'll just mention a couple small things too as I'm going through. Is like this is a fantastic backflip down air. You just have to make sure you do the down air extra late here. Like you did the down air hits before you fastball, and so even though you fastball here, Fox gets out before you're able to shine. It actually looks like if you had been tasked, you might have been able to do it. But basically, the answer here is make sure you do like C-stick down fastball before the down air hits, or even just do like a later down air here in general, like jump down air, you know, rather than like jump down air like up here.
Okay.
Because that would have just made it a lot easier. You would have for sure gotten this shine here if you did the later down air. You only need to really pay attention when someone's like below like 10%, that you need to make sure to hit the super late down air.
I see.
Because if people are at 0, you're not gonna really get down air shine very often unless you hit like the very late version. And if you think you're a little bit early here and you think they're gonna get out, you can always just grab this. It's like not the best answer, but there's so many times when I'm here and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a little late, aren't I? And if you just grab, they're guaranteed to shield pretty much.
Okay.
Was this down throw an accident?
No, I didn't realize that I was port 2, so I was trying to do like a down throw, down smash, or down throw shine or something, and then.
Okay, so here, yeah.
Yeah, that's
the general rule on down throw is you can down throw shine with either port from 0 to 11%, and they have to SDI out. But basically, any percent above that, the down throw is like not really good at all. There are a few weird little things you can do with like the port thing, like maybe. But they can also always DI it, and I would say, like, in general, don't rely on down throw past that like early down throw shine cheese range, like pre 12%.
Okay.
Mostly just because doing the down throw here, it especially against Fox in particular, like it kind of just puts the ball in Fox's court, and all of Falco's throws except for forward throw kind of do that. But I would much rather like give him an opportunity to smash DI here while getting, like pushed off stage. So like if you did like a back throw here, he doesn't really have any good SDI options that won't still put him in a disadvantage. Whereas like down throwing here, if he does SDI out or like gets the land from the ASDI down, you're at like a disadvantage.
Okay.
So I would say probably back throw here in pretty much every case.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this like non-late aerial is definitely like a problem. So at 0, Falco Fox is like extremely limited because of both CC shine and just like jump into the down air shine, and then just also like I said, like down air shine almost doesn't work at 0. You need to hit the late down air. So like basically you don't want to do any early down airs ever until like around 30 or 40.
Okay.
So this isn't a bad down air. It just needs to be like positionally, it's fine as long as it hits like down here, like super late. Okay, yeah, and yeah, same thing on the down throw here. I would probably up throw here if you got it. Up throw or back throw is okay here, but it's not quite as close to the edge, so I'd probably go for up throw.
Okay.
Okay. This is definitely an interesting one. It's just a small thing is this down air is not as late as it could be. It looks like you like tried to do late down air, but look where it's still hitting.
Yeah, I definitely am scared, I need to be like disciplined to.
Like you're scared of doing like the late one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know the exact feeling. Yeah, just know that like they are so scared. Everyone is so scared of Falco doing dumb dares that like you don't have to be afraid. Like I promise. Like I dealt with this same issue. You just have to close your eyes and do it. And like when you get up smashed out of it or whatever, just just be like, nah, everybody has those days, like, and then just keep down airing. Like that's your best option. Is just it is good, and the more you hit the late down air, you will feel it more. That like wow, because the other thing is like when you do kind of the empty hop, it's not obvious that you are going to do this down air. Like you might do like a back air and kind of fade away in a way that like it's a little earlier on the shield. So they just don't feel super confident acting out of shield here. And like I said, nobody wants to get hit by the early down air. So you'll just notice when you start doing it more how beneficial it is. And yeah, both of those are okay down airs, but they're not going to get you anything, Like, I would much rather, in a situation like this, just see some kind of, like, very defensive, like, full hop to top platform or something.
Okay.
Okay. I see why you are getting a lesson, though. Like I think that if this is like kind of ambiguous for me to find the next thing for you to work on, I can imagine it's extremely difficult for you when you're watching it.
Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
it's not unusual that you would be like, why am I plateaued here? You know, this is
Okay.
definitely like a weird ambiguous spot. I think it's good that like so because that's the thing is like a lot of times you get better by finding your biggest weakness
Mhm.
and then working on that and kind of trying to bring it up, you know, and then but sometimes you end up in this state where you're completely balanced, so you don't have any particular weakness, but a lot of smaller things are kind of weak. So okay, I'll get into it in a second after the
Okay.
game is done. Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Give me 1 second to think about how to say it.
No problem.
Okay, so I think, and there might be a better way to say it, but it kind of overall feels like you don't have a good enough grasp on your win conditions. And so you it doesn't you aren't like aggressively setting up situations that will cause you to win the game. It's more like you're trying to set up situations that won't lose the situation. So you're like, oh, well, if I do this, I might. Like, it seems like I probably won't lose the situation. And so you kind of get a lot of hits that don't necessarily, like, lead to a kill or even, like, lead to, like, a big combo. And I think that if you're going even with somebody in neutral and none of your hits really go anywhere, it's going to look kind of like this. Um, so let's see. Is there we can yeah. So there's definitely like a bunch of early down airs that you do that they don't seem to really have too much of a purpose. They are kind of just there, and then if they happen to hit Fox, you will try to capitalize off of them. Um, and I noticed it with like approaching lasers too, where like you'll go for a read where you approaching laser, but then you'll like do things where you approaching laser, and it happened I think during the last stock,
Mhm.
where let me see if it's let me go back a little bit and see if I can find it. Where basically you do an approaching laser, and you get the exact right read that you wanted on the approaching laser. Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of stuff like this where you hit this and then like something like this will happen and you're kind of stuck in like this awkward spot. Probably this was actually like a really hard combo to hit probably. There is actually probably a solution here where I think you can double jump back and fall through the platform, like not touching the platform, but I think like right here you could have backflipped and then still landed with a down air. Like the stun is really significant.
Yeah.
But just in general, it's like when you hit a shine, it doesn't have like a threatening aura to it. It doesn't feel like, and a lot of times it's because it doesn't seem like you're super ready for like what's gonna happen after a shine or like after an opening. And then there's stuff like this laser afterward, which is like, okay, so right here and then right here. So what are you thinking here with this like laser?
Um, I think I'm my brain is probably still back at like the moment where I back aired him, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, back airing him. He's gonna go to the right. Quick, like keep chasing him because I finally have some pressure on him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm I think like I might as well take space and have a laser out while I do it, and that's I think. Then he like rolls in, which now watching it in slow motion is like, yeah, that makes sense why he would do that. But
Yeah, it's not too bad of a laser. It was just it's like a very heavy read, so I was just kind of interested into why you did it. And like the reasoning's not too bad. There's a laser coming up that I really wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Right here.
Oh.
So you get like this is like the perfect read on your laser. Like this is basically the most you could have asked for on this is that you catch him running in with this laser and you get it so that you laser his shield, but you're like not ready for the laser to connect here and you do a dash back instead of getting a shine pressure.
Yeah.
And this is sort of like a microcosm of like the story of the entire match, which is like you know how to kind of avoid your opponent's hits, and you know basically like where you're kind of supposed to be doing lasers and moves, but you're not like ready for them to connect and do like a massive combo. Like at no point in this match did you do like a down air, and it feels like if this down air hits, my zero death is like coming, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go over the next match.
Okay.
So this is kind of that's just kind of like the basic feeling that I have so far is like there are some issues with like speed and like technical consistency, and I do think that those affect the punish game quite a bit. I think it's like because you don't have very clear wins, like you don't, because you're not looking for like very clear wins, like think of like a puff player and then like think of like the puffs who are like hunting desperately like a psychopath for the rest, and then the puffs that you play that aren't really, and they're just kind of back airing and kind of hitting you, and it doesn't feel the same way, you know, because they're not playing really hard for their specific win conditions.
Okay.
And so I definitely want to get into like a few more specifics on that to help you out, but that is like the general vibe I get, that like you could be playing basically like a lot more cutthroat. And I think people have kind of an issue where they feel like, oh, well, if I only go for these like 2 or 3 really strong openings, then it gets predictable. And so they feel like they need to kind of do a wider range of options. But it's kind of like if you're playing a puff or a wobbler, like the fact that you know that the puff is looking for rest does not make the match easier. In fact, it makes it significantly harder because you're constantly like, oh no, this is another rest setup, this is another rest setup. So when you're playing Falco against Fox, every movement you do should be you should be having in mind this feeling that like you are like literally fishing for shine. Every movement you do, every laser, every jump needs to be you looking and like, can I sneak a shine in here? Is Fox gonna give me a shine? Is there a way to do down air shine, or nair shine, or laser shine, or wave dash shine, or jump shine, or any spot dodge shine? So like, your entire intention here needs to be like, what am I going to do with my shine? How am I going to get that? And obviously, there's also a portion of your brain that is trying to keep yourself safe from what Fox is doing. But you need to, like, keep that in mind the entire time, that you're hunting for the shine. So, okay, this is kind of a bad habit, this wave dash back right here. I just tell people a lot to, like, make sure you don't wave dash back in positions where you're, like, trying to bait your opponent. Because let's say after this that so like you hit this and you get this dash in, and I talked about this in a lesson recently about how like the point of the laser is to make you frame positive on this dash in, because it's what like allows Falco to make up for the speed differential between him and Fox. So you get this and you get this laser dash in. So look, he's already scared and shielding here, but it's not necessary that you like instantly pressure this. This is fine. So you're kind of baiting him out a little bit, and you weren't really ready to go in, and it's fine. This is sort of like a feeler area of like the game. So you get this dash in again, And so this was good. You did the first laser dash in, and you noticed that he did shield spot dodge. And you go, okay, so you back off, and you do another laser and dash in. And so, however you're going to think out of this, it needs to take that previous idea into context. And so if you think he might spot dodge or something here, if you wave dash back and he spot dodged, you wouldn't be able to punish it because you're busy wave dashing back here. Which is why, unless you are expecting to wave dash up tilt, like a full hop, you basically shouldn't do this. It should pretty much always be a dash. And in general, for Falco, you, like, him having, like, dash momentum on his aerials is significantly more threatening pretty much all the time. And that's part of why the dash is so scary for Fox.
Okay.
Okay, so laser, get this. Okay. So the thing is like, I have some issues with the way you play neutral in terms of like, oh, it's like a different than how I would play it. But it's not like you're necessarily doing something bad, you know? It's that it's more so that you are... It's kind of like, you know, somebody goes to work all day and they're a hard worker and they're diligent and they do their job and they're getting paid like $5 an hour. And they're like, are you saying I'm doing a bad job? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm saying you could be making a lot more money like at a different job using, you know, the same work ethic. So the way you're approaching neutral in general does not seem that bad. Like, you're not necessarily doing any like super bad habits. But because you're not playing as much for, like, the kill, and a lot of these situations that could lead into a kill, like, this laser shine was good. And so, like, yeah, maybe, you know, I wouldn't play the neutral exactly like this, but it's kind of within the range of what's, like, acceptable for the most part. And then you get this laser, and you get the walk-up shine, so this was totally good. But when you're in this position, like... So if you think about it, and you're playing, like, Leffen, and you are at the top of your game, you know, it's 5 years down the line, you know, you're the new Mango, and you're playing Leffen, and you get this shine on Leffen, you might only get a few openings like this in the game or the set, you know, like, ideally you need to clean up his stocks with 4 of these shines. And so, like, when you do this, and then you hit this down air, and everything is good, and you get this, and you get the shine, and he's, like, right up here, and then you miss this waveland. This is so much more significant than you realize to miss these. Because what this basically means is that now it's 5 stocks to 4. Like, total. Oh, wow. Because this was a stock you could have taken. Or, like, in maybe, you know, 4 stocks to 3. Like, maybe this... But regardless, like, this is, like... an entire extra stock for the opponent, because when you got this hit, they should have died, but instead they didn't die. Instead, it's still 4 stocks to 4. So, you know, let's say your opponent is of even skill to you, and they get their opening and you die, you know, they will be ahead no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens past that point, because you needed to get a second opening to kill. So you got a second opening to kill, and that was good. Your opponent didn't get their own opening. So you kind of made up for it. But this was still 2 neutral wins on you. So you're just beating him. You know, you have 2 neutral wins and he has 0. And so that's why you're up a stock. But it could have been 1 neutral win and you'd be up a stock. Okay, you hit him while he was invincible. I'm not going to worry about that. Everyone made mistakes. Okay, and then he gets his combo. And Fox isn't going to necessarily 0 death all the time in a lot of ways like Falco will. But he gets the 0 death. Billy's really good. Okay, so you come back. Okay. Yeah, this down air is like... It's so... Like, this down air is so much in your opponent's court. Like, you don't want your opponent to have any control over the game. You want to be active and have control. And when you do a move like this, you're essentially begging them to run into it. And...
Yeah.
and you don't want to participate in situations like that. And a lot of times in this matchup, the right answer to I don't like this situation is don't play the situation. So a lot of times the answer is just to full hop out of the way, or to roll, or to go to edge, or to go to the side platform, rather than like trying to fight it out. It's kind of a losing battle.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, I know this has been a little bit all over the place. I'm trying really hard, but you really do lack any massive particular weakness outside of the punish stuff. And because I think it's just that you, because it seems like you don't really hit punishes all that much, your brain like is not ready for the $1 million punish. And so because it's not, so like there's just like a very different mentality that is involved between like hitting Fox and then comboing off those hits versus hitting Fox with a combo. And so whenever you're trying to hit Fox with a move, it needs to be in your head that you are not just hitting him to hit him. You are hitting him with a combo. So you're not hitting him with dare, you're hitting him with dare shine. You're hitting him with things that continue the combo. And I think when you experience this a little bit more, this feeling of being able to kill your opponent off of like one shine, then it's a lot easier to sort of start setting up threats and start thinking of the game in a way that like is based more on the zero deaths than on kind of just like hitting people.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that
And
down
there,
again.
and so it's like this whole 2 games I have not seen you land. There's the down throw. Have not seen you land more than like 2 hits in a combo, and you still haven't been doing that bad. So like that would lead me to believe that like yeah, maybe your neutral is not my favorite in every way, but it's clearly not your weakest aspect because you're doing all right in neutral. You just really need to be capitalizing on these openings and be like very ready to capitalize off of them. I think the late down air thing, like you basically don't do any late downers like at all, pretty much like ever, and that is like definitely a big deal. I don't see you do any late nairs, because if you do a late down air, this pressure situation right here where you go for this, if this was a late dare instead, you are at a massive advantage. But if you don't do the late down air, you're at a guaranteed disadvantage, and you get comboed for it.
Okay.
You would be very surprised at how big the difference is. It's kind of like the difference between shining and wave shining. And if you just shine every time, it's not gonna. It feels like it's a completely different game from if you're wave shining every time. This is also an issue I've seen a bunch of times. Is you have a tendency to dash back, in situations where it doesn't really benefit Falco. A lot of times, Falco's. So there are some exceptions to this, but as a general rule, Falco's dash dance works to threaten his dash momentum aerials, and that is about all it does. It does not particularly like mix up your positioning very much, because even if you do these like your longest dash dances possible, you're like in this area kind of. And so like there are just a lot of situations where like you feel kind of threatened. You feel a little bit threatened here, and so you're kind of dashing back. But this just pretty much will never do anything for Falco. The majority of the time, if you feel threatened, you want to be rolling. It's just significantly better because you can roll, then you get the laser into dash dance, and you can kind of start setting up the way you want to play. So this is kind of one of those spots where like dash just doesn't do any good here. And I would much rather you just simply leave than like try to like, oh, I'm gonna like whiff punish this by dash dancing,
Okay, that's interesting. No one's ever told me that before. So you think that Falco's dash dance serves more of the purpose of like once you have a laser out, you're communicating something with your dash to your opponent. But if I'm like at a disadvantage, I can't just like Marth my way out of it and like, or I get that
Well, okay, so a cleaner way to think of it is that is that the dash dance threatens a dash aerial. That is like what it is threatening. Like, so specifically, the dash aerial threat is significantly stronger after a laser, which is why I was saying that. But like, if you are in neutral with your opponent and you are dash dancing, it is specifically because you are threatening a dash aerial, and that's it. It's not like Fox where like you can dash back out of danger and then dash in to hit people. To a significant degree, sometimes Falco will be right in someone's face, like against like Marth, let's say, and you dash back to avoid like his up tilt, and then you dash in and hit them. So like the dash back is good in that sense to like avoid people's like walls in place or like things like that. But a lot of times the only reason they're walling in place is because you dashed in and then dash back. So the dash in scares them that you're gonna approaching aerial, and then you dash back to dodge it. But if your opponent is like moving towards you, dashing back is basically completely useless. And it's not, unless you're gonna dash back, backflip, back air or something. But just the act of dash dancing does not really help. In fact, a lot of times when your opponent is approaching you, Falco is much scarier by simply standing with his back turned because they're going to try to bait out the up tilt most of the time.
Okay.
So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
And there's just like a lot of messiness where like this entire time you weren't doing anything. So you go for this back air, and then you're like, okay, so here you wave dash in. This wave dash in would have been great if you up tilted here, like after you react to the full hop. You can react to the full hop by about the peak of it. And so if you wave dash and you notice that Fox full hopped, you can up tilt, and you'll have like a 50-50 basically to like get Fox out of the up tilt.
Okay. I swear I've never hit like an up tilt on a Fox full hop.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen, I think like at main stage,
Ginger versus Cody.
Ginger played against Cody, and he got so many on like their last game, game 5, and I was like, dang, I really have to look at this because he's obviously showing that it's possible, but I must be like doing something.
Well, I think a lot of the times in the spots that I've seen where you could have up tilted, you dashed away, and that prevents the up tilt from being like a possibility. So you'll get caught in your dash away rather than like just standing there with your back facing, being like, and now, and like pressing the A button. So that's just something is like, remember, you can respond to the full hop by the time he's at his peak, and then you just try to up tilt him on his way down. And a lot of times that's why you wave dash in neutral. So you'll do like a laser, wave dash back, turn around, and then if he happened to full hop nair in, you get a nice easy reaction with the up tilt. But you kind of have to like prepare to do the up tilt ahead of time and then see if he's full hopping.
Okay.
In general, I also think that you could be a lot more committed to like getting out a laser really, really, really fast. Like when you're in a situation like this, your top priority, because if you think of it, Fox's top priority is to threaten you before you get a laser out. Because as soon as you get a laser out, you have frame advantage. Because you shoot it and then you get to dash. So right now you don't have frame advantage, so Fox will pretty much always in this spot try to come over at you and try to stop you from getting the first laser out.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
So anytime you're in a situation like this, your first impulse should always be to get the laser out as fast as possible to stop Fox from getting over to you. And this is like a really complicated matchup. So I don't think that it's let's see. I'm gonna go to the Dreamland game. What was there? Was there anything wrong with this game?
I think like the very first game we played, I was like practicing something.
Okay.
So the gameplay just looked like weird from my end.
Okay, that's fine.
And then I was like, I probably can't practice something against like a player of his caliber, so I just tried to play a little bit more
Okay,
normal.
so let me see. What's the best way here to help you out? Okay. So let me just start this up and
Okay.
see if I can. So basically, you end up doing a lot of stuff in neutral that looks more or less kind of like you go like this, and then you'll go like, and then you kind of do this, and you want a lot more of like a neutral that's kind of like has a lot more of these like late aerials, and so it's a lot more something like that. And so this is pretty close to how I play this neutral against Fox now, is I have a lot of this type of pattern where I do like a dash dance, and then I'll either go in with like a fade back late aerial here, or I'll do like a dash back laser here, or I'll sometimes mix it up with this. Like if I'm doing this and they're trying to avoid this, then they're naturally going to get lasered like this because you can't react to the difference between these. And so a lot of times they'll be kind of stuck in a spot where you're kind of trapping them, you're kind of going this, and then eventually you get the late aerial, and it just sets up so much cleaner. So like here's the difference in the late aerial with actually this is actually perfect of let me go Uncle Punch this really quick.
Good.
Combo training, and then this. So check this out. If he is at 0 and I have him do invincibility out of this, watch how hard this is. So I actually can't get a shine if I do this down air too early.
Yeah.
And that was kind of happening to you a lot, where you kind of got this backflip. And that's why when you do these down airs, like this, they hit a lot harder. So like if I'm doing this dash dance and then I come in and I hit this, it's a lot easier to connect, you know, the full combo and actually hit Fox out of it with the late down air there.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up?
Question there. So
more questions you have, the better, to be honest.
Okay. So, I definitely have been told before, like, hey, you can't do that early down air because like the better players will just reversal you for it, or they'll like shield it and you won't get like a true punish afterward. But even though like I understand that, it still comes out in the gameplay, and when I watch it back I think, okay, obviously I know I shouldn't have done that early down air, but the fear factor that I told you about earlier, it's like it seems to take precedent over the correct option. So maybe I could ask how like you deal with that. Well, like you all briefly touched on it earlier, like you just have to trust me, close your eyes and lay down there.
Yeah. Well,
But,
okay,
like,
so here's kind of the way that you like that it's nice to feel about it is kind of like, so when you're playing neutral, and you were kind of asking at the beginning about like, you know, how to outplay and stuff like that, a lot of times it's you just put moves in good spots. So like a lot of times where I was saying with like those late down airs that I was showing you in neutral, I would say that a good percentage of the time when my late down air hits, I'm kind of like, oh, well, thank you, you know? Like, because I'm just kind of putting it in good spots, and then when it hits, I get it. So a lot of times with the late down air, the mistake people make is they see their opponent in a position, but if you just jump at your opponent with the idea of late down airing them, that is not going to work as often. You really want to just sort of be like, they can't react to me lasering or down airing, and I'm going to kind of do it and just move around with it and take space. And then sometimes the late down air will hit. And then something that's nice to keep in mind is like, basically, the good players will always defend against the early down air, and if you defend against the early down air, you are vulnerable to the late down air. And so if you're playing someone and you're like, this person would not get hit by early down air, late down air will hit them. But it's not so cut and dry because, for instance, Magi versus SFAT from this summit, she pretty much only did early down air, but because he just kept expecting late down air, it kept hitting him. And so there is like a player type element here where like you do kind of have to adjust, and it's not like you should never do the early down air, but because if your opponent guesses right on the late down air, to beat it they have to like hard read it, like they need to like up smash on your approach or something, whereas to beat the early down air they just do something really passive, which is shield. And so that's why a lot of times your basis should be the late down air, because they're not gonna like hard read with up smash nearly as often as they're going to just kind of passively shield because you might early down air, you know? So one of them requires a much harder response than the other, and that's kind of why the late aerial is so much more powerful. But yeah, like I think just don't focus. This is a tough one.
By the way, this is kind of out of the blue, but I don't know if you noticed my net play name is Late Nair Shine. Because I'm pretty sure this like the past month I was like, dude, I have to do more late aerials.
So I would actually say in this matchup in particular, I want you to grind out late dare way more than late nair.
Okay.
Late dare is technically like frame perfect shine out of shieldable if it is staled once. But the secret is that first of all, no fox is gonna try it. Just they're not, because it's like if they're one frame off, they get shined. And then also they can't react to the difference between late nair and late down air. So if you just late aerial them, they would need to, first of all, read that you late down aired them, also be aware that the late down air, that the down air was stale, and hit frame perfect input.
That sounds like a great.
And so like you don't really need to worry about it. Like you can just late dare as long as you actually hit the latest dare and you hit your shine at a good timing. You shouldn't have to worry too much. And so I just think the late aerial and specifically like the late dare is really, really important. And mixing that up with the laser, dash dancing, and like using the laser dash dance really consistently in neutral, I think, and then just sort of like being ready to get the big punish. So here, let me give me 1 sec, and I'm going to pull up a VOD of me versus Kalindi, and I actually think this VOD would be really useful. This was like a set I played against Kalindi the other day, or not a set, it was like a session I played with him the other day, and I thought it was like really, really good. And so let me go through and find it really quick.
I actually have it open on my PC.
Oh, the VOD?
Yeah, because I saw you tweet that, and I was like, oh, I should save this and then watch it at some point because he said it was really good. But
right. So so here, like, let's find like a random point in like the middle of it, and you'll be able to see the application of that. Oh, this is I'm later in the session. Okay. So let's just like watch a random stock, and you will most likely see the exact type of neutral that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of hunting for shine, like right there.
Yeah.
And then, so there's, and a lot of changing position too. There's the up tilt.
Yeah, that was sick.
And yeah, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than the stuff I was talking about, obviously, because there's like a lot going on, and me and Kalindi practice all the time. But okay, so like this. Yeah. Perfect. So you see me doing a lot of this type of stuff where it's like laser, and then I just kind of do a down air here, and he can't really deal with it because it's so like unreactable, right? And then you pick up the stock, and then okay, comes back, try to be safe. I'm trash, so I got hit. There's the back throw we talked about, although I messed that up a little bit. And then
oh, that was sick.
okay, so here's the thing: is like, yeah, that's sick, but also that should be standard. Like that should be like when you see that, you should be like, that's just another day. Like when you hit this shine and you hit this combo and you kill off that. You know what I thought during that? I was like, next stock, like bring it on. Like I don't let him get a 2 to 4 comeback.
Okay.
So then it's like, okay, so then notice that like here I'm getting like the late down air, and it just changes massively how significant this combo is at 0 from if I did a back air here or like too early of a down air, because the down air I don't hit with it until like at the very bottom right there. Mm-hmm. So that even though he's at 0, I have this big frame advantage, and then I can get the combo out of it. Okay, so then here's like the laser. I've been doing the up air a lot there to read like the full hop.
Mm-hmm. Do you still call out full hop with like jump, shine, wave?
Of course, yeah.
I was planning on eventually signing up for another lesson, so maybe we can talk about that next time.
Okay. Mainly the idea with that, just to touch on it really quick, is that the majority of the time, if Fox does like a full hop early aerial, it's too easy for you to react to, and you'll either up tilt it or roll out of the way. And so he has like a lot of motivation to do like later aerials, like full hop late back air. And if you think about it, basically if he's doing a late aerial, and he's not going to like full hop and drill as he's rising most of the time, they'll start like at the peak. And so most of the time during the rising and middle parts of Fox's full hop, he doesn't have a hitbox. And so a lot of times while he's kind of on his way up, you can just jump up and hit him with the shine.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's kind of vulnerable. And there's more to it, but that's like the basics. So yeah, so moving around. Okay, get that. I'm pretty sure I got the 4 stock this game, yeah.
Dang, nice.
Not super common, but okay, so here we go. So look, each of these wave dashes that I'm doing, and like wave dash back. So first, here's these lasers, and then I'm dash dancing, and then laser, I mess up here, but I get the jump in shine. So look, so right here, I do this up tilt to catch the full hop, but I mess up. Then I'm doing this. I do these wave dash ins, like dash away, wave dash back. This is just in case he like full hops on me, and I'm just not doing it perfectly. But oops. And yeah, your punish needs to feel kind of like this, where it's like, oh man, Falco got like a stray hit. Okay, Fox is like dead a lot of the time, because if you're not doing that, it's just Falco struggles to get a lot more than the shines he gets and stuff like that. Like he's not the type of character who's gonna back air someone and they fly across the whole stage and he just runs over and tech chases. He needs to be a lot more careful with like the type of openings he gets. Looking for more of like a long neutral situation. It looks like this was kind of like a more aggressive point in the session, but I'm hitting pretty freaking hard. Okay. All right. So let me see how I set up the neutral here. The 1 in a million times the dash dance works like normal that I was telling you not to do. Okay.
Oh,
it's literally like 1 in a million times that works out, right? That's not like standard. Okay. So, dude, why is it so aggro right now? I just want to get to the basic neutral. There we go. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. So this is the main idea, is like, this is a lot closer to like how you want to be playing the neutral, is this stock, where it's like, okay, so I hit my laser, I'm trying to avoid his moves, I'm looking for opportunities with the laser where I might want to like get a late aerial, and then you see I'm going for this, and then it didn't work out, and then, oh, I got this one, and then immediately I can should be starting my punish. So I'm lasering, and then I shield, I roll out of the way of this, so that I'm safe, and then, ooh, messed that up. But the general idea is that, like, you want to be doing these laserings to avoid to kind of put him into nice spots. And here's the early down air, because I'm basically running around doing only late down air, that when I put him in a situation like this, he doesn't want to, like right here, I know that he doesn't want to stay here and let me set up my late down air right here. So he doesn't want to stand here and get jump in and then like late down air shine grabbed or something and thrown off stage. And so then I kind of read that he's moving early, and then that's why I get this earlier down air.
I see. Okay. So the late down air opens up the early down.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like the just kind of spamming the late down air around is such a threat that it's just like a way better perspective to kind of play the neutral under, is like, oh, I'm gonna laser dash dance and kind of look for late aerials.
Okay.
So there's the laser dash dance, late aerial. So it's like another good description of this here.
Okay.
Is
this
like,
reminds me of
yeah.
This reminds me of a lesson you did with somebody who was learning Falco versus Marth, and you told them like to, in the neutral, use a lot of like laser dash back dash in laser, laser dash back dash in laser dash back dash in there. But you would say that like the Fox neutral is a little more complicated than that.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way because a lot of times the Marth, it's just Marth has trouble like moving out of a stationary position. Like he has trouble like reaching out of his dash dance. And Fox is the opposite, where he's just the master of reaching out of his dash dance. And so the way you play against Marth or Peach or whatever is like a lot of like the laser dash back and kind of like looking for them to maybe whiff like an approaching nair or something like that. But a lot of times with Fox, it's a lot more you're lasering and then you're dash dancing to like look for a setup for either a laser shine or a late aerial or something like that. So a lot of times you're going to be like falling onto Fox a lot more than these other characters. And notice that like when he's doing these full hops, I'm not getting like an up tilt on these every time, but I'm just ending up in a spot where like I'm just like shield and then I'm safe. Either by shine at a shield, or if he did a late aerial there, I would have just like rolled.
Okay. So the dash dance serves a different purpose in different matchups.
Yeah, definitely. And it can feel similar in some ways, but you know, it definitely is different for like how you're gonna end up. You're not really looking for like late dares on Marth, you know? That's not really how the matchup is gonna go most of the time. Sheesh. He just does that every time. And that's why if I don't kill off every shine, I just get force dock, you know? Because it's like, oh, I messed up there and it just did not function. Okay, so look, there's the laser. I do the early aerial there. It was a bad read, so I got hit, you know? And here's the thing with this matchup in particular. This matchup is, like, kind of infinitely complicated. And, like, no one is going to have the perfect style or answers for you. I think a lot of the smaller things we talked about in this lesson are going to be beneficial for you. A lot of it is the late aerialing, I think, and like also like looking for the combos, and also you just need to like hit your combos. Like that is such a massive piece of it. And so I think it kind of, despite you not having any huge weaknesses, a lot of that stuff kind of sums up into a Falco that feels kind of soft. Like it doesn't really hit super hard. It's not really looking for things that are hitting super hard. It isn't really like if the Fox is full hopping, the threat of the up tilt or the up air isn't super there to like make the full hop feel dangerous. A lot of times you let Fox move around in the neutral a little bit too much rather than doing the laser and then using the dash dance to threaten. And I think a lot of times using the dash dance and the laser to threaten, if you're not really doing late aerials, it doesn't entirely click. it doesn't feel like it's really doing all that much. That's how it used to feel for me. Is like, yeah, sure, I'm laser dash dancing, but what is it doing? And it's like, well, when you start setting up for late aerials, it's doing a lot, because like the late aerial is kind of the whole point of the laser dash dance game that you're like setting up for. It's to make your opponent scared enough to shield so that you can just fall on them with a late aerial and get like a wave shine or a double shine pressure and eventually get, an opening out of it.
Interesting.
So I know it's a little bit complicated, and there's not necessarily like something super straightforward to go on after this, but I hope that like the sum of those few things can kind of help you out. I think what I would really like to see, because you said you're thinking about doing like another lesson, right?
Yeah, no, I was planning on just doing it. Maybe more than 2 as well.
Okay,
So.
what I would really like to see in the next lesson, and I think would make diagnosing a lot of the smaller issues in like your neutral and stuff like that better, is like I want to see the late aerial like down air, right? That's for sure. That's like the biggest point. And then like I want to see it way more, and I also not necessarily like hitting with it. I want to see you just like doing it in neutral. And then the second one is you gotta be hitting harder. It's almost impossible to like help you to like really get to like a level like right where you want to be beating like Billy Bo Peep, right? Mm-hmm, you will never get to that level if you can't hit hard.
Okay.
So those two I like the biggest takeaways, along with like a bunch of the smaller stuff we talked about during this.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely not an easy analysis. This one was a little bit of a struggle because like you're not bad. Like you're not doing anything horrendous, It's a lot of just like lack of doing things that make you significantly better than other people. So it's kind of like, it's like a pizza. It's like somebody's like, we ordered pizza, and you're like, it's not my favorite, but it's just freaking pizza. It's not bad. And it's like, but like I want to see you be like, that pizza, like the pizza that people dream about, And so, and like getting that punish is the way that you kind of like go from random pizza shop to like national chain,
Okay. Yeah, this is making sense, because like when I play against people who are more around my level, I feel like, why did you make that decision? That was really silly, and now I died for it, and I start, having a little complaining moment, and then but it makes sense if I'm just a generic pizza shop.
Yeah, like it's not hitting. Like the sauce, average. The bread, average. And and it's like, you're like, how do I get better? And I'm like, dude, you could just, if you just get the sauce super tasty, like we'll work on a little bit about the bread or whatever, like.
Yeah.
So once you can hit your, like, if here's the thing, if you were hitting your combos, all of these people at like a slightly lower level than you that you like, because like here's the thing is you can do like kind of all right against better players without a punish, like kind of how you're doing, but like that whole thing where like, oh, I'm also kind of doing all right against the worst players, that is where like the big punish thing, it comes out extra hard, because a lot of times you're not actually gonna beat bad players by outsmarting them. When I play in bracket, dude, I can't read these people. Like round 1 in bracket, I'm like, dude, either this person is a genius or they are living in a completely different reality than me, and usually it's the second one, where like you won't be able to read them. Their decisions make no sense. They just look at the clock, they see a 3 in the digit, and they freaking up air. Like there's no logic to it, and so like against those people, you just need to hit hard. And as soon as you're hitting hard, they don't even exist. And you get to move up to the level where you actually gets to play the game,
Yeah, okay. I think I remember there was like a great line you had. It was either in like a tweet or a lesson where you said like, the secret to beating Ganon is to just not like to act like you're not fighting, like don't take Ganon seriously, or you said something. I don't remember what you said specifically, but it kind of sounds like that sort of mentality should apply to a round one pools match, where it's like you shouldn't try to take them.
Yeah, no, it was that I made that tweet where it was that like I almost tried against a Ganon in pools, and that made it like really scary because I started
Okay.
like thinking, you know, and it's kind of
Okay.
like, and like so like here there's this clip from like Asashi, and he's known in like or it's Asahi or I think it's Asashi, but
Yeah, I know who he is.
yeah. So
Falco
he's like a
player.
local SoCal Falco, and he's like a self-proclaimed. Like his neutral's getting a little bit better, but basically his journey in this game was he just like king button pusher, and then like he's slowly adding in little pieces of neutral. But he's already gotten like a bunch of good wins, and it's because when he hits, it looks like this. He'll just be playing, and then shine, and he hits this. You know, and he'll hit this in bracket too, and it's like okay. So the difference between that is your current Falco would have hit this shine and then been like, back air? You know, and then like run away. And it's like, okay, so Fox is at 30 and, you know, compared to Fox is completely dead, and you have to, you know, think about like that is a bigger difference than you could ever make up for no matter how genius you were, you know?
Okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. There have been times where I have taken games from like, you know, top 100 players, and I remember watching those games back and thinking like, wow, I killed them off of one opening, you know.
A lot of times that happens.
Yeah.
When like your best games or your best performance is a lot of times just when like maybe you read 4 edge guards in a row and so they died every time, you know. And like your goal is to like basically move your level of punish up enough so that when there's variance, the variance is still like, you know, it's not taking so much away from your punish, where like a lot of Falcos who are at the mid level, they kind of struggle with this, where like they do a lot of stuff which is like they'll just like I don't know, like they'll do a good combo once every 4 games and think their combo game is good. And you know, that's not what it's about. If you're hitting like 60 or 70 damage off every shine, I would prefer that than you doing a Bobby Big Balls combo once every 5 games. Just letting you know. But okay, we actually went like 10 minutes over, but don't worry about it. That's just
okay.
I just was like, I need to explain this better, so don't worry about it at all. Just enjoy your free 10 minutes.
Okay, sweet.
But yeah, we can schedule like another lesson after I get back from Smash World Tour, but I'm not able to do any more for like the next week or so.
Okay, yeah. Hope that goes well for you. Good luck.
Thanks. I will send you my Venmo info.
Okay.
And I hope this lesson was like useful, and I hope you are able to actionably like improve a lot after it.
For sure. Gonna get to work on it. So thanks.
All right, sick man. I'll talk to you later then.
All right. See ya.